the most, I guess, significant event was the death of Martin Luther King, because he had been in that movement since the beginning. Very soon, after it started, he was invited to become the chair of the movement, and he accepted that responsibility, which was really quite a decision, because it really put him out in the market, in a sense, and in the community, and in a way that put him at risk all the time. And so one had to be really courageous to do something like that, and to not only to put his life, but the life of his family at stake. So I guess the big event around that was when he was killed in 1968, which really brought things to fore for all of us, whether we were in the movement or on the side of the movement or just sort of ignoring it. It really brought us all our attention. So for me, it was really, it was a shock that he got killed. That was obviously a shock for me, and I think for everyone else, and a sadness. But on the other hand, I think at one level, it wasn't unexpected. At least I was not surprised that it happened, on the other hand, which sounds crazy and schizophrenic. But I wasn't surprised, because I think there were so many angry people there, and that he was always at risk. And especially when you look back at the 50s, at all the kinds of things that happened in terms of the bombing and the killing of kids. So, but that was, to me, a significant event, because, you know, here was someone who was really fighting for justice, who was bringing to all of us our attention to something that was really not a good thing in a place like America, the place you wouldn't expect it to happen. Sort of, you know, we're the standard for the world, and yet we had this condition that was never truly addressed. The way it was addressed really was the separation of blacks and whites. But here, he took that on and challenged all of us to really look at this in a way that we needed to look at it, in terms of the civil rights, through the civil rights movement. So it was really a time of change for everyone, and it certainly was a time of change for me, because I then, you know, with my family, my kids, myself, I was a graduate student, and then I saw all this around me, you know, just trying to make it from day to day, and just trying to process all of what was happening, because a lot was going on, and a lot around that. And with his death, it really sparked a very different kind of view about the civil rights movement. I think for Martin Luther King, it was a passive, not a passive, but a less violent. I mean, he was really looking for us to consult, to work together, to bring people together. And to some extent, he did that a lot. I mean, I think there were many whites and blacks who were doing that period, who really had come together to really try to work for a different world and a different sort of environment for all of us. Because both whites and blacks were losers. And so with his death, you know, you wondered what would be the next step, what was going to really happen. And we saw what happened. You know, violence erupted all over the country and everywhere. And it was just not a good time. You do your job, and people either come on board or they don't. People who don't like you will never like you. If they think you're incompetent, you will always be incompetent. But I think that for the students, over time, they recognized that I was there. I was staying, especially once I got tenure, I wasn't going anywhere. But they fought to make, you know, tried. I mean, I'm sure, I have not seen the data, but I'm sure I got a unanimous negative from my students, from the student body, the students who evaluated faculty. I'm absolutely sure of that, because I think students truly believed that I was incompetent. I mean, they didn't just make it up. They really believed that. And I know that because, and you pick up little things, and there were two things that happened. One that was that I was teaching this course, and these students, this is how perceptive kids are, came to me and said, they thought I was teaching this course and that obviously I was not doing the right thing and I didn't know how to do it. So they went over to Clark to the same course and visited it, sat in the course, and they came back surprised. You're teaching this course just like Dr. Blank. So I said, no, he's teaching it like me, because he used to be one of my students. But, you know, that's the kind of ways in which kids really responded. And they were disrespectful often. And I remember talking to one of my colleagues. There was a female colleague in another department there. I can't remember what department she was in. But her office was across from mine. And I would say to her some of the kinds of things happening. And she said, oh, no kid here would be like that. And one day, she happened to be in her office, and I was in my office, and she heard what was going on as I sat calmly listening. And she said to me, oh, I thought you made it up. I would never, ever have believed that any student here would treat you like that. And I said, well, it's okay. They have to work it out. I'm not going to, it's not, well, you know, what are you going to do? I said, nothing, because they have to learn themselves the kind of person I am. And if they can't do that, there's nothing I can do about it except be myself, because I know that I'm good. I mean, I know I've been well trained. I went to Clark, for goodness sake, you know, way back there when it was the apple of everybody's eye.